All right, then I guess we're in a spot where we should just like hard pivot transition. We are doing a prospect rundown. It is long overdue. Z, I'm more or less going to pass the reins to you. You kind of gave me the outline for the order we want to go in, so I'm just going to blanket open it up to you. Where do we want to start within the CHL?
Yeah, I mean, historically, when I was doing this every week, when it was just me and pretty much I was like, Roundup every week. We'd always go OHL start real quick. Stevie Leskovar is back healthy again and fresh off his suspension. No points in these 3 games. He got in his first fight. It was another big boy that he went toe to toe with, and he ate a couple bombs and then got up and continued laughing in the guy's face. And I was like, I don't know if you should be laughing, but that's psychotic. And I also, if you Google,
I love the visual.
I need people to Google image Stevie Leskovar and just see the pic that comes up from Dev Camp. I'm guessing he looks like an actual axe murderer.
Shot.
No, it's like axe murderer. Like, it's a scary picture. And that's how he plays too. Again, I love the fact that
are you talking the interview or just like his like, hey, we need
when
your shot?
No, like it's the one picture he's got in the wild. So I'm guessing it was from Dev Camp.
Yep.
It's a headshot. It's fucking crazy.
Hang on, I'm gonna just make that additional thumbnail here for you real quick.
It is overlay. Like, it is legitimate
difference.
It's actual axe murderer. Like, it's terrifying photo. I mean, just like don't want to walk by that guy on the street. And that's how he plays too. And I mean, like right now he plays in Brampton with a guy named Porter Martone. Ever heard of him? They're a little bit of a funk right now. But I mean, yeah, not much to talk about there. He's playing limited minutes, hitting everything that moves, gets in his second fight of the year.
Isha's favorite prospect in his second favorite league behind the queue. So he needs his fair due. Hang on, it's uploading. Here it comes. Tell me again how crazy of a person Stevie Leskovar is. Like, he's looking through the door. It's The Shining. Red rum.
Clean shaven deliverance vibe, you know?
I've still got the one on here that I did for you, Z, that it's a little, we'll say it's a little haunting. But it's Malkin plus Logan.
Oh my God, that one that fucked me up. I can't have that again. I can't. Like, I hate how realistic it looks. I mean,
the face works. He's on IR. We're not going to talk about the Penguins today because I just don't have the brain capacity for it. But all right. So is that it for OHL? Is that our only guy there since
he's the only one there?
One Rasmus Kumpalainen decided he was too good for it.
Yeah, we can move right on over to the WHL.
Hang on. Don't forget about Isha's favorite league, the QMJHL.
Where there are 0 Minnesota Wild prospects.
All right, moving on to the WHL. United there. Hey, it's more fun if you do it before WHL instead of after WHL, just being like, there's no one. Okay.
Yeah, true. Kalen Parker in Calgary. Calgary just got Yakimchuk back as well. They're on a heater right now. They're second in their division right behind Medicine Hat and Ryan Ritchie. But 3 games this week for Kalen Parker. He went off in that first one in his return to Moose Jaw, put up a goal and an assist. He's just playing, especially when Yakimchuk went out. He was obviously their go-to right shot D-man. He's such a good player, the power play, but he defends off the rush really well. He's physical. He kind of just gives you a little bit of everything. So again, like, there's so many defensemen in Minnesota's pipeline, and then you just look at the fact that they've already got like young players like Faber here. They just signed Jurasek, who looks incredible. Big fan of Juracek.
Why is he in Iowa?
Because I'm wrong.
That's purely that's purely a salary cap thing. I just know there's a lot of fans who are like very confused by it, which everyone stay tuned. Wednesday we drop interview with David Juracek on Fellowship of the Rink. Awesome guy. English has come a long way. There's still a couple spots where like you can tell he had to like stop and like process because we probably should have simplified our questions a little bit, but like awesome dude. And like we have it under pretty good authority that he was told right before we interviewed him that he was being sent down, and he was still like a super like good sport and like good time to have on. So definitely check it out. Awesome guy. And he is absolutely, I'll go as far as to say absolutely, Z. He is absolutely top 6 next year.
He's got to be.
But it's between him and Buium, isn't it? Kind of.
What do you mean?
Ain't no way that Bogosian's not part of the top 6. And we've got our top 4 solidified unless there's a trade that I don't know is happening.
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
So we'll save it for NCAA. Continue.
Yeah. By the way, Kalen Parker, again, just another one of the like these players in the pipeline on the back end where it's like we get to a certain point where there's like 2, 3, 4 guys maybe in this prospect pool that are defensemen who like are going to be competing eventually for a spot. But like that's the beauty of having such a deep prospect pipeline. It's like you give them time to develop and play in like over time. Like you don't have to force their way into a lineup. You have
Did you just pack them all for a Redmond trade?
That's exactly. But again, like Kalen Parker, I'm just a big fan of his game. He's really fun to watch. Kind of just does everything really well. He's got a great shot. Quarterbacks and power play really well, especially in Calgary when Yakimchuk went out. And now he's back and he's still playing really well. He's playing well as a complementary role, but also really solid shutdown D, especially. And like when Yakimchuk was out, I think I tracked him. He was like 27, 28 minutes a night. And he's just like on the ice the whole game. But he's just a fun player to watch. Again, probably a long shot to like eventually be a full-time Wild player just in general. But just he's having another really solid season WHL, even though he got traded again. So he's got 27 points now in 43 games. But he's just a fun player to watch. I'm a big Kalen Parker fan. And like, I think it's always interesting, like when there's a player who gets traded like more than once in like junior hockey, it's always interesting when it's like their current and ex-coach will always bring them up in interviews and like make a point to comment on those players. They're like, hey, it's either like we really fucking miss having this guy, or like getting this player was a blessing. And like he has just complimented that back end in Calgary, they're going to be competing potentially for a Mem Cup here. But I mean, they're very, very, very high on him. He's been incredible since getting to Calgary. So was it worth at least dedicating a couple minutes to Kalen Parker?
Yeah. He'll probably get traded like 3 more times before he gets to Iowa.
Yeah.
Good that like, because like you could view it either way. Like, is it, he's getting moved because like teams are going like, no, teams are going after him and like targeting him as someone that they want to add to their blue line.
Well, yeah. And like, along with that too, like we've seen when teams in the CHL, like in all 3 leagues, like they load up and the trades are insane where it's like one guy goes, like a top player goes and there's like 14 draft picks attached to the trade. So it's like you look at, so Kalen Parker goes to Moose Jaw from Victoria last year. This year, Victoria's in first or second place in their division. He goes to Moose Jaw. They win a Mem Cup. Everyone is out or in the NHL. They are second to last place in front of Red Deer in their division. Everyone gets traded out of there. And like Calgary, who struggled last year, they make big moves. They bring in guys like Axel Hertig, Kalen Parker, and a couple other players, a couple other 25 draft eligibles who are real good, like Ben Kindle we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago. I can't remember if we did the draft or Iowa last week, but either way, now they're competing for first place in like potential Mem Cup team. So it's just crazy, like the volatility year after year in junior hockey, especially given those trades, it's crazy. So like again, where Kalen Parker started when they drafted him, Victoria is now at first or second place in their division. So this is how it goes.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, no, they're very, very fucking good.
Funny side tangent. I got a text from Laura just saying Logan can hear you every time you laugh, and he immediately starts laughing too. Dude's rock.
Hell yeah. Dude's rock.
There's a lot more WHL guys to hit on, and we've got at least last week when we talked, Ryder Ritchie's been on the rise.
He's continuing his heater. 3 games this week. In a 10-4 win versus Regina, he put up 2 goals. Next night against Spokane, who's a really good team as well, 2 assists. So 4 points in 3 games this week. He is just lighting it up. He's over a point per game at this point, and like he is he's got an even 17 and 17 goals and assists.
Yeah.
And again, they're doing this without guys like Caden Lindstrom. They also went out and made some big moves. They bring in Tanner Melendijk from, where was he before? Edmonton? No. Saskatoon. But they also made some big moves.
Oh, sure. You're basically a Minnesota fan.
But I mean, he's just doing it like goals and assists. He's so fun to fucking watch. Off the rush, he is just like a force to be reckoned with. He is just making guys look silly. And also like has that edge to him. Like I love seeing him kind of like snap and just light someone up on his way to the net. Dude, it's great. And then that video from like Ozzy Weisblatt's draft year came up. There was like he got drafted like 4 or 5 fucking years ago, and he made his NHL debut he got traded to Nashville in the offseason. But like one of his brothers is Oasis, who is like in the video in Ozzy's draft year. Like he's like 14. But Oasis Weisblatt is a lunatic. WHL, where he's like, I think he's their captain now. But like he fights almost every night. He's a point per game. But in the video of Ozzy Weisblatt, when they're talking about the family, like he's like super young. He just looks like a cherub. And now he's just running around. Like he fights Yakimchuk almost every time they play. And like handles them. It's fucking bananas. But like it's just every time I watch Medicine Hat, I just laugh. It's just like I just shut my water bottle. It's just funny because it's like in the video of Ozzy Weisblatt's draft year where they're like, it's a really heartfelt video about the Weisblatt family. And he's like, just like cheering his brothers on WHL. And now he's just running around kicking the shit out of everyone and scoring goals. It's great. So every time I watch Medicine Hat, I just laugh. But back to Ryder Ritchie. He looks so fucking good. It is crazy how like the first 7-8 games, he was really struggling, takes a skate to the face, gets injured, misses a ton of time, immediately comes back and just lights it up. But Medicine Hat looks real good there in first place. They put up, I think they've had like 3 or 4 games this year. They've scored 10 goals. Like they are lighting up the score sheet almost every night. Very fun to watch, but Ryder Ritchie's been a big part of that offense. He's just been great. Plays a lot with Gavin McKenna, which is always fun.
It's definitely an okay place to be.
But yeah, no, he's I think since he's come back, he's probably gone maybe 3 or 4 games where he hasn't registered a point.
Yeah, Isha asked me the other day, just because like he's very set in his ways of like right around March 1st is when like he dials in and starts figuring out the next draft. So he's like, yeah, so McKenna, he's looking good. He's this draft, right? I'm like, no, dude, he's another year. He's like, holy shit.
That boy's a
it just like puts into perspective how good McKenna is.
Mm-hmm.
You know? All right, next guy up. I mean, it's been so long since we've talked about him, and it feels like we almost take him for granted at this point. What the hell is happening with Riley Heidt?
Yeah. Prince George
is he suck now, or
yeah, he's awful. He's got 54 points in 37 games this year. He's terrible.
He still might be my favorite prospect interview, not like necessarily because he's like the best interview, but just like there's something about him where he like is the nicest, like good old boy. Like you can tell he's like the Stalls, like just like comes from like, you know, it gives you the vibe of coming from a farm family, but at the same time, there's like just a quiet confidence. Like he's not arrogant. He's just like, no, I know I'm good. We're good.
It's like cocky professionalism, you know? Like it's just
right.
Like, yeah, no, I'm here to do business.
But he's like a super down to earth,
good
but knows exactly how good he is kind of guy.
Still can pump the hell out of a celly. Just A+ celebrations every time he scores. It's great.
Did I tell you what Matthew Wood said to us? It crushed my soul. So we did our on-site interview with them, which anyone that hasn't
That
checked
was
it out,
cool. That was a cool
interview.
fucking interview. Yeah.
Very fun sitting down with him, Oliver Moore, and Brody Zeemer before World Juniors, which like fuck Team Canada. They got what they deserve for not bringing him in. Anyways, that's beside the point. We were just talking to him after the fact. I'm like, oh man, so like you're gonna be our pipeline to get Canadians to the U, huh? Like it would have been really cool if like they could have been eligible this past August instead of this next one, so that Riley Heidt could have come and played here. He's like, oh dude, yeah, I know Heidt well. I could have gotten him here. I'm like, don't tell me that. No, don't say that.
What you just said fills me with rage,
dude. If he played for the Gophers, I don't even know what I would do.
Yeah,
I would.
Think about him playing college hockey is comical.
He would destroy everything.
Yeah.
What did it cost? Everything.
Yeah.
But dude. He's not my number one prospect. He's my favorite prospect.
I mean, he's just fucking yeah. He's just like the thing with Riley Heidt is there's just like a variety of outcomes, like a potential outcomes for him.
Sure.
In the NHL, and I still think regardless
of
what that outcome is,
do you see a world where he's not in the NHL?
No, I think he's too smart. He gives you too much value two-way. He can play center. He can play wing. He's got a really good shot. He's a really good playmaker. Like he kind of just checks so many boxes that
like floor second or third.
What?
What's his floor? Second or third?
Oh, third.
Okay.
Because I mean, like, again, we'll see. It's always tough to gauge those players too. Like before they get any the preseason. I think expectations were just far too high, which is always going to happen when a guy just lights up top 5 scoring in their league. And like every year, it feels like one prospect seems to like have a really strong preseason. I think so. A lot of people were probably pretty, and especially him too, where it's like he somehow was the last pick of the second round when he definitely should have gone like top 25.
Not top. You had him ranked 29, I think. But still, that's a far cry from 62.
Right. Yeah. It's fucking bananas still to me.
People should know that, Z, I think you had like one spot apart. I think you had Stramel 30 and Heidt 31 in our, like, it was like maybe a month before the draft, but we did like a full rundown of like, what is your first round projection? They were right next to each other. We got them both. And Gabe Perreault is going to be a bust, so who cares?
Obviously.
Who do you feel like it behooves Washington to figure out what it takes to get him away from New York?
I mean, like trying to make a move for Gabe Perreault?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think I'm sure they would love to.
I'm saying, do you like?
But I don't think it's necessarily something where it's like we're really worried about him when he gets to New York. When I tell you, Ryan Leonard, I love how this started with us talking. We went like for 4 seconds, maybe on Riley Heidt. Like
somehow we're off on college. Yeah.
What Ryan Leonard is doing right now at BC is insane. Like
F. Merrick is mad that he's still playing college hockey.
It is nuts. He is legitimately like too good for college hockey right now. Like what he just did to BU this weekend was devastating. He picked up the puck. I think it was the second game. Yeah, I think it was Saturday. It was like 12 seconds in. And I forget which, I might have been fucking Willander that he danced out of his shoes 15 seconds into the game and just put one on a tee backdoor for, I don't think it was Perreault. He may have scored him fucking self. I don't even remember. But like, it was just like, oh my God. He is unfucking believable. He's putting up ridiculous points and he is killing guys every fucking game. He is a terrifying college hockey player. Like he is scary. Like he can literally do everything. It's unbelievable. Like he doesn't really have one shift where you don't notice him. Either he is lighting someone up, he's making someone look stupid, or he's scoring a goal, or both. Like, I mean, or
here's
like,
my question though for
it's
you.
unbelievable.
I think it helps put it into perspective though. What would Will Smith be doing if he was still at BC?
Putting up ridiculous points.
Like my point is, like, did Leonard overstay his welcome in college? Like, should he be in the NHL like Jeff Merrick will tell you every week that he comes up? Or like where do you fit? Because like a good example is Jimmy Snuggerud, right? Like the Blues wanted him to come. He could have gone, but the way his season went last year, like you can understand where there was still something to prove and to be gained from this year. Not just like running it back because he like cares about the Gophers. Like obviously it's a family thing for him, but he's grown his game this year. He has. Do you feel like Ryan Leonard is benefiting from another year of college hockey, or do you feel like he should be in the NHL?
No, I think he's still benefiting. He's the man right now. Like last year, it was
he's benefiting off the ice. I got you.
Oh. Jesus. But like last year, I mean, like this year too. Like BC, their fucking recruiting classes last 3 years have been, I mean, out fucking outrageous. But there were so many nights where it was like, because of how good BC was and still is, obviously, but like there were so many guys that could individually take games over. And like there definitely are this year still because they're that good. But like it's every night Ryan Leonard is the most noticeable player on the ice every single game that BC plays. And he's just given the fact that like Will Smith isn't there. And who else? They had a couple other guys. God, it's gonna really piss me off off the top of my head. But like his puck touches are way up. He's trying even more skill plays than he was last year. Like there were plenty of plays last year where like it was him being a premier power forward, like just killing guys and showing a little bit of skill. But like he is mixing up his offensive toolkit this year, where he's just like one of the more unpredictable forwards in the league, or in whatever college hockey. So I guess you can't say league, I guess. But like what he is doing at BC, I still think, given how like prominent of a role he's playing this year, and he is the go-to guy every single night at BC, who might be, I mean, they're number one in the country. I think they took over.
I didn't see what today's CHL was. They were before the weekend.
I mean, they beat the shit out of BU on Friday, and then
I didn't know with Michigan State sweeping Minnesota if that would
on Friday. We'll talk about the fucking Friday.
That fucking sucked, dude. But all right, so we can move on from Ryan Leonard. He's obviously good. We all know this. Riley Heidt. Anything more that needs to be said about him, or is he just exactly who we think he is, and he's unfortunately stuck in the WHL when he should either be playing college or AHL?
Yeah, I really fucking hate the CHL NHL agreement thing where like they can't go play in the A. But at the same time, Prince George this year, it's a very different team. Like they were pretty dominant in stretches. Like right now, they're on a fucking cold streak. They're 5th in their division right now in the Western Conference. I think they've won once in the last 10 games. And it's really interesting, like, he's still putting up a ton of points, like, on a nightly basis. But he's, like, his physical game has taken another step forward, where I think, like, he's fought 2 or 3 times in the last 5 games. Like, he unlocked that, like, fuck you element to his game, where he's pissed that they're fucking losing. And I mean, he must be averaging like 8, 9, 10 hits a game. Like you can see how frustrated he is with losing. And again, he's like fighting. He is extremely noticeable still. And again, I'll pull up the actual points again on my little sheet here. He's got 54 points in 37 games.
Pussy.
Yeah, he is just so fun to watch, dude. But yeah, no, right now he's given the fact that like Prince George didn't make a ton of big moves at all. For Mem Cup run here. They're 5th in their division, which is not where they've been the last 3, 4, 5 years. He's definitely unlocked another element to his physical game. but he's still putting up some legit points. And like on Friday, they win 3-2 versus a solid Brandon team. He's got 2 assists in that one. And Baki Love, he's winning a ton of faceoffs. So there you go.
Hey, here we go. Shout out, by the way, MNW Prospects on Twitter, MNW Young Guns on Facebook, I think. Maybe I got that backwards. You can find them either way. Like, they are definitely in the heat of the season and covering the team extremely well, the team's prospects, whatever. So please give them a follow wherever. Am I correct? Is Chase Wutzke the only guy left for the WHL/CHL as a whole?
Yes. And guess what? They finally won a fucking game. They went, I pulled it up. I think they went 15 games without a win. And I talked about this again, either last week or 2 weeks ago, or every week, because I feel like I just have to bring it up. He is like they will lose by 4, and he will be second or third star of the game almost every single time, because they just like the amount of shots that he's taken. I actually have the numbers, but they finally won. They beat Moose Jaw in a 5-1 win, and they actually like suppressed them to 22 shots. He made 21 saves, and then of course the next night they throw him right back in against Calgary. And they lose 6-1, and he still made 30 saves. Like the poor fucking kid. Again, he's 13, 20, 3-1 because they do the shootout and overtime losses separately, or wins separately. But he still has an 896 and under a 4, which is like for WHL on a terrible fucking team. That's unbelievably impressive. But he's faced 1,257 shots in 40 games this year. Which is just like, it's absurd how much volume, the shot volume that they just eat is insane. But he's just been solid, even like when you look at like goaltending numbers in general. And even now, though, like I feel like even the NHL, like a good save percentage is like 908, 910. And like you're like probably like not pissed about it. But like in junior hockey, anywhere near a 9 is pretty good. And he's still got an 896. He's won 13 of their 16 wins. This is from Chase Wutzke. And he plays almost every night. Like, it's unbelievable. They played 46 games. He's played 40. He's played 40.
Thanks.
It's just crazy how many fucking like shots against they have every fucking night.
Yeah.
And he just is eating pucks, but they finally got a win thanks to him. So shout out Chase Wutzke was at least mentioning that they finally won a fucking game. Again, I think it was their first win in 15 games.
Oh man, shout out Chase Wutzke. So now we move on to NCAA hockey, and let's talk the can we call him anything beyond champion when you've got 2 World Junior Golds and an NCAA championship, maybe another NCAA championship on the horizon? What a freaking year it's been for Zeev Buium.
Yep. So he is amongst defensemen in the NCAA. He has the second most points with 25, tied with Sam Rinzel. He's played 6 fewer games than Sam Rinzel. And
no Sam Rinzel. Bad talk on here.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's played fewer games than everyone, and he is only 1 point behind.
All you said is he's played fewer than Sam Rinzel.
That's all I said. That's it.
Number
1 scoring D-man in the country is Mac Godowski at Army, who has 26 points in 26 games. Fun fact. But Zeev Buium, he's playing 25 minutes a night. He is all over the score sheet. Denver's in a really weird place right now where like I think they started like what 15-0.
I mean, they lost to UNLV. What else is there to say?
And they lost to Duluth this weekend. They went 1-1 against Duluth. Pionk had a talk about him.
Shout out.
But I mean, like, dude, 22 games, 25 points, playing 25 minutes a night. Like, he's unbelievable. Again,
but can we be honest though that like anyone that expects him to just be the copy paste of Brock Faber at the end of this season like, let's pump the brakes. He could be that. He could. The leading assumption is that he will not be. He is a year, technically 2 years younger almost than Faber was when he made the jump, because Buium came in early. And it's a different style of game. Like, yes, he is dynamic offensively and defensively, but Brock Faber was a stalwart defensively, and he came in and made an impact right away. As a younger guy who like has a more dynamic offensive game, it's gonna be harder to come in and make that lasting impact, especially, let's be real, it's not just on Zeev with where he's at, it's also the salary cap position that Minnesota Wild are in.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, at this point, though, like, again, I would say after this season, there's not a whole lot of use for him going back to Denver for a third year, to be honest.
I think we all know he's leaving.
But, like, here's where I will...
Joe Smith told me what his current course load is. He's like, there's no way this dude's staying.
Oh. What?
But, I mean, we all knew that. That's not a surprise.
Yeah. I mean, again, like, Denver's going to be in the hunt again for another natty this year. He's won. I mean, like, it's unbelievable how much he's won already at his age. Like, it's ridiculous. He is one of, if not the best defenseman in college hockey. Even if he signs this year, I don't even think you can guarantee him a spot in next year's lineup, just when you look at, like, how many guys are still going to be here. And, like, I don't think, like, people should be all that disappointed if, like, he ends up playing a lot in Iowa next year. Because, like, again, very different style to Brock Faber. Like, Brock Faber had that, like, defensive game pretty much nailed down already. And the offense was just, like, a pleasant surprise. And he's, like, maintained, like, pretty good offense this year, too. So he might just be looking at a guy that's going to give you, like, legit shutdown D and, like, pretty good offense from the back end. Enough offense. Like, obviously, you want your, like, number one offensive man to be, like,
offense
going.
Faber.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. Proficient offense. But, like, if Zeev ends up in the A a lot next year to work, just, like, continue growing that defensive game, too. Again, he's already a solid defender in his own right, but it's just, like, a very different style of defense. Like, Brock Faber was, like, a shutdown defenseman who was, like, giving you, again, like, his last year in college, he put up good offensive numbers, like, really, like, uncharacteristic at that point for him. And then he just, like, replicated it in the NHL his fucking rookie year, which is ridiculous. But yeah, they're very different defensemen. I don't think people should expect the same level of impact immediately from Zeev Buium, but, like, his upside probably, as far as, like, someone that's a solid defender but gives you legit offense at the NHL level, it's like a higher ceiling almost than a Brock Faber in that sense.
Yeah.
But, like, if they end up, again, I would love to see him sign after whenever Denver's season ends. Give him a couple games. I wouldn't be disappointed if he's not playing in, like, the playoffs, though.
Right.
Like, if he's probably gonna be like a black ace, keep him around, like, let him.
Will
like,
be disappointed.
Yeah, people will be disappointed, but, like, it's not unreasonable, I guess, is what I mean.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's just
awesome.
Yeah, but he is just having such another ridiculous season. Again, the fact that he's played fewer than all these other defensemen, and he's got, like, he's 1 point away from leading the country for D scoring. Like, he is just absurd. So I would expect him to sign after the year. And, you know, we'll see what happens, how much he plays in Iowa versus Minnesota, but that's more the same.
That's not something that I'm worried about. I'm good either way. And everyone should check out, if you haven't already, Joe and I had an interview with Zeev Buium right before World Juniors. Awesome. Full interviews up already on YouTube. I think it's, like, one of our highest viewed interviews. So you've probably already seen it. So I apologize. And Joe's actually he did a full sit down with him when he was out there for that Martin Luther King Day game against Colorado. Sat down with him for a couple hours, talked through a bunch of things. He's gonna have an article coming out on The Athletic soon. Z, let's move on then to two players, Charlie Stramel, Jimmy Clark. What a weekend it was for Michigan State. My biggest takeaway, to be completely honest, we saw two different Charlie Stramels when you came to visit and we were in the Gopher press box, right? Like Friday night, not his night. Saturday night, torched. This kid can fucking move. For a big boy, he cruises. And it's not even just like top end speed. Like he's got some like pickup and get going. Like I was actually pleasantly surprised in a couple of spots this weekend where he just like, holy crap, Charlie Stramel's already in this play. That's weird.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing with him is like you think of like leading up to his draft season, the big calling for him was the fact that like, yeah, he's big, he's super physical, he plays that power forward game, but he's a really, really good skater. And like not even necessarily like the speed that he gets up to, but those first few strides, the amount of power he can generate, like he is not far behind. Like he'll break up a play in his own end and he is right with the rush going the other way. Like he gets like 0 to 60 real quick. Like his first few strides, he generates so much power that he is like, that's part of his power forward game. Is it's not just like him being a big brute. It is legitimately him like making a physical or just like solid defensive play in his own end and joining the rush and being a part and like not as like a trailer, but like potentially like leading. Like it is crazy how much power he can generate just like first 2-3 strides. But I mean, again, just more of the same from him this season at Michigan State. I mean,
we got under good authority too, by the way, Zeev, via both Russo and Joe. They expect him to go back for another year at Michigan State, which I'm so supportive of. I've said it on here. I've said it on Fellowship of the Rink. I want him to go back for another year. I think that does very well for him, for a guy who's had some turbulent seasons. Give him a place that he got comfortable. Let him see if he can take another step in a comfortable environment and then bring him in.
Yeah. And I mean, I think last time we talked about this, it was like, as long as he is happy on board, not like pissed off,
totally.
Considering like, I don't want to like, whatever, sign in Minnesota, I'm fine. Like, because realistically, like you said, like since his freshman year at Wisconsin, this is the first full season he's played in general, just without getting injured.
Right.
But like the first positive environment that he's been on a really good team. And he's like their go-to first line center. He kills penalties. He's on their first power play. Like he's putting up points. He's got 23 points in 26 games so far. He's just giving them a little bit. I said this last time I talked about him too. Like he's just been very composed. Like has not like thrown any bad hits. Has got him thrown out of games. But he's been their go-to guy along with his boy, the Tampa Bay Lightning, best looking guy. May as well be the best dressed guy. Yeah,
he makes really good
country in
waggle
points
hats.
right now.
Makes really good waggle hats.
Phenomenal.
It's too bad because if he was on any other team, he'd probably be a front runner for the Hobie, but he plays with Trey Augustine. So sorry, bud, you're not winning it.
That being said, he does lead the country in points.
Whatever.
Right in front of Snuggerud. But like, I thought again, like Michigan State, they kicked the shit out of Minnesota. I think it was the second period. There was a flurry of goals.
I think
it was a 6 or 7 minute period where they just like
the first half of the game, right? So first period and first half of the second, like was fine. Like the Gophers definitely have things they'd like to clean up and they wouldn't tell you it's their best game, but like it was competitive. The back half of the second and the third, Michigan State fucking punished the Gophers. It was bad. And then like, yes, it was a competitive overtime shootout game on Saturday, but like the ice was tilted towards Michigan State for a lot of the game. There were definitely spots where Minnesota looked like Minnesota, but there's concerns if Michigan State isn't the stalwart team that they are. And let's be real, like Trey Augustine's a factor in it for sure, but it's a bummer being clean swept in a season by a team when you're number 3 in pairwise and I believe number 4 or 5 nationally ranked by voters. So like it's tough for the Gophers, and I don't mean to brush past it quickly because I know we're against the clock here for me to get out, but like Jimmy Clark, he is what he's been. Like he's a reliable, consistent, can do everything jackknife guy that can play on any line, and he's done just that when healthy. Like there's not a whole lot to report on Jimmy. He's continuing to progress, doing exactly what he's done. I don't have much else to say about him.
I thought he was really good on Saturday. I thought he was really, really good. He ended up with the assist on the.
He was playing with Matthew Wood and who? Can't remember, because it was weird that like Wood and Moore had actually played really well and built some chemistry in the past couple of games, and obviously Friday didn't go to script, so Bob shuffled stuff up. But like Jimmy Clark is, for the Gophers, not an NHL team, but for the Gophers, he is Brian Rust. He's a guy that can literally play line 1 through 4, and you're going to be happy no matter what.
Yeah, I was just happy again. I thought he was really good on Saturday, and I was happy he got an assist on that goal. Because I mean, like the assist that he pulled, like it was him like picking up the puck at the wall, making a couple of really good moves, and like driving to the middle. I think it was like he put a shot on it and someone tapped it in. But it was. He started off the year obviously playing with Matthew Wood. Was it Kurth? Was it Kurth? Yeah, I think it was Kurth.
In Friday or
no, at the start of the year when he was putting up tons of points.
Oh, it was Clark, Wood, Kurth.
Yeah. And then like after all, like they got all those injuries back to back, which was nuts. Like the lineup was just different almost every night. They came
out of World Juniors as a top 4 team with all the injuries they had leading up. I'm
seemingly different line combos.
Really not worried. I'm not worried about the Gophers, but this weekend where they were healthy again, they're still kind of getting their wits about them with like a full roster. Michigan State's a good team. The way that Friday finished concerns me. The rest of the weekend, like if you look at the first half of Friday and all of Saturday, like Gophers are going to be fine. The back half, though, was brutal. It couldn't have gone worse, and I'm not excusing it, but I'm also okay looking past it if they take care of business this weekend against Wisconsin, when our favorite hockey coverage person, I can't give him any better title than that, Mike Grinnell, is apparently going to be here this coming weekend, and I'm not happy about it.
See, there's no one that knows more about the game.
No one knows more about hockey than Mike.
No, but that again, like Michigan State, it was a 9-3 on Friday. I had to pull up the actual. So I remember it was the 4-2 goal on the power play for Michigan State. That was just over halfway through the second period, and that's when the ice really tilted. And then I think in the third period they scored 3 times.
Third period was rough. It was rough.
Yeah. But like the goal that Stramel scored was one that like we haven't seen a ton of. Like it was him off the rush, and he just like ripped one short side. It was funny. A couple of his assists this year have been from him winning faceoffs. But again, like his faceoff numbers have been ridiculous. Like on Friday, he went.
Which is good because
21 for 25.
Gopher faceoffs have been fucking bad.
Yeah, he went 20,
especially on the kill.
On Friday, he went 21 for 25. Like he was
just like winning. Holy shit. Yeah. A lot of faceoffs. Well, I mean, you get a lot of faceoffs when you get scored on that much, I guess. But all right, fair enough. We got to move it along because I got exactly 11 minutes before I am mandated contractually to be out of here.
Yeah.
You're in Pionk. We got to talk about it. He's definitely looked okay and looked the part. Another one that's a long shot to actually play Minnesota Wild minutes, but like you're happy with the progress he's made, especially after last year was kind of ho-hum.
Yeah, I mean, like even last year, he put up really good points. It was just such a weird year for you.
Offensively, there were some big warts.
Yeah, and I mean, like I think for him, those warts are always going to be there, considering he's been a defenseman for like 4 years. And then this year, though, he has taken another step where like Duluth has actually pulled off a couple big time wins. Like recently, they split the series this weekend with Denver. I think it was Arizona State they pulled one out on.
They've also had some really bad weekends.
At the start of the year, it was very bad, but like Pionk's just
Start of the year
really
being the first half of the year.
yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. But Pionk has just been solid from the get-go, where it's like, again, he's like my class, like for this year specifically, the prospect pool, like he's been the first ballot I had my guy Hall of Fame, where they'll lose like 6-2 and he's a +2. It's like, I had my guy, dude. I don't know what you guys were doing on the ice. He's got 20.
That's an awesome way to frame that. I had my guy Hall of Fame.
I had my guy. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite things that like listening to like when Chicklets has a guest on and they'll talk like, yeah, we got the shit kicked out of us that night. I was +1. I had my guy. That's pretty good. Funny. But Pionk, dude, he's got 20 points in 24 games this season. And he's also a +3 on a Duluth team that's under 500. Like, and again, like recently they've pulled out some big time wins. He's playing just under 20 minutes again for a guy that like just became a defenseman, probably a long shot, even to be a full-time NHL D-man. Like it's with that mold of defenseman. What was that Russo's thing? It was his son.
Oh, the son. Yeah,
yes,
that was that about Pionk or was that someone else? Damn it. That son, because that's right. We did that with Juracek and someone else. And I can't remember who it was. Yeah, that was a fun bit. I forgot the origins of it, but it was with Pionk. Like, oh yeah, Neil Pionk's son. Fuck, it's his brother.
Yeah. No, but he's tied for 8th in the country in defenseman scoring. Like, he's playing really well, both sides of the puck on a Duluth team that, like, I mean, they get hemmed in. They're really punching above their weight in a lot of games. So he's just a fun player to watch. And, like, yeah, a lot of his points do come from the power play, but, like, defensively off the rush, he's been solid. And even in his own end, like I think he has taken 2 steps forward, honestly, like just like watching his USHL tape in his draft +1 year. Yeah. And like how far he's come in his own end. Like, I mean, in Boston, we have Mason Lowry here, who became a defenseman, I think, his junior year of high school, which was like ridiculous. He's like, but I
think that works. You can't go from defense to forward. You can go from forward to defense.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because
it makes sense to an extent if you're the right kind of player. But that's fair. And I'm just going to call it out right now, Z, based on the time we've got left. Next week, we're going to do Scandinavia and Russia, the whole Europe bit, just so you don't have to rush through and like not give anyone their fair due. So that's for sure happening next week, everyone who's listening. We got one more NCAA guy, but you can continue on Pionk.
Yeah, no, I just think like he's shown so much growth, like especially obviously since he got drafted out of the USHL. But like, you know, last year he still put up good offense, but this year he is doing it both ends of the ice. And again, like I think Duluth now they're what 5? I think they won 5 or 6 games, or maybe they have won a couple big ones recently that they're closer to 500.
They've looked good since Christmas, but before Christmas they were abysmal.
And he's been, since then, he has been solid for them.
It's pretty much him and one other guy show. Yeah. I assume you know who the other guy is.
Yeah. I always forget. I'm like, oh, yeah, he is still there. Good for him. They've lost so many fucking guys.
He's from Hermantown. They won't leave, dude.
I know. But yeah, I mean, like, good for Pionk,
no, dude, trust me. To this day, it hurts Max Veach to his core to watch Isaac Howard just torch for Michigan State.
Literally lead. Yeah,
that's a real bummer.
But dude, he puts up that Pionk scores a goal in their 4-3 win versus Denver on Friday. And he's blocking shots too. Like he's got 17 blocks now. Like he is just doing a little bit of everything. But like the offense is definitely jumping. More so than it was last year, even though he was good offensively last year. But like the defensive game has been very impressive. So he's just another guy that I have in that like Kalen Parker conversation where it's like he gives you a little bit of everything. Kalen Parker has more defensive prowess to his game, but like these are the prospects where it's like they're fun to have in the pool. They're fun to watch. They're fun to track and like watch their growth and development over the years, knowing that it's probably a long shot that you're going to see them full time in a Minnesota Wild sweater. And a guy like Pionk, like we'll see what happens with him at the NHL level in general. But
it's a dice roll, man.
He's been so fucking good this year for Duluth. Again, like you said, since Christmas, they have been really, really good. Like the teams that they've gone up against some of the top dogs, and like they're usually splitting now. Like again, like they beat Denver and then they're on Saturday they lose 2-1. Like they've just been solid. So,
well, last guy then for college hockey, unless I'm missing someone, you might tell me that I'm crazy.
You're missing a couple.
I'm missing a couple. Fuck. All right, I got one on top of mind. List me all of the ones we haven't talked about.
Riga Lorenz.
Yep.
Ryan Healy.
He was the one.
And I don't know if you even count Nate Benoit.
Don't count him. I don't even know where he was now. Where is he now?
Quinnipiac now.
Oh, then I definitely don't want to talk about him. We can talk Lorenz and Healy, but we've got a minute and a half each tops.
No, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird year for Lorenz. Like you would expect after last year, how well it went, that he would like continue growing. He has been like kind of thrown back in like a pretty defensive role again. Like he's been playing a lot in like the third and fourth line. He's killing a ton of penalties. I think he's only got like 6 points this year.
Those are good skills to build though for a guy that like is not going to play higher than a third line in Minnesota in his best case scenario. So like not bad.
And I've talked about him a lot since he got drafted. He's a very fun player. He's just another, like, even at the forward position, like he's such an interesting kind of player. I think playing college hockey has been really good for him to grow like both ends of the ice, specifically defensively. Like last year, again, I mentioned this last year, like you think he scored 4 or 5 shorties. Like he is on their first PK unit and he is just playing a pretty defensive role. So like, I think he's got 6 points this year versus last year. It's just under a point per game. And that being said, like when I do watch, I like watching Denver when they're going up against like the top 5 teams in the country. And it's like, I see him obviously a lot in his own end, but like he's missed a couple like grade A's, but he's also setting guys up, but he's also just like breaking so many plays up in the neutral zone and then creating offense that way too, where he's just like, he can give you a little bit of everything. And I like his offensive upside. I do have questions just about like where he ends up fitting in Minnesota in general, obviously, but like in an NHL lineup, I wonder how scouts feel about him, but he's a big kid that moves well. He plays both ends of the ice solidly. And like, we know about his shot from like his draft year. And he just happened to go to Denver, who was like one of, if not the deepest team in college hockey since he's been there. So we'll see what happens. And it was interesting last year hearing about how often, almost after every game, like the development staff was on the phone with him, breaking the games down with him. So, I mean, we know that the organization likes him a lot. Obviously, they wouldn't have taken the second round if they weren't, but they've been engaged with him over the last couple of years. So we'll see.
And then lastly, you got 1 minute for Ryan Healy, who is the smartest prospect for the Minnesota Wild. Go.
Over at Harvard, 2 games, 1 against Cornell, 1 against Colgate, put up an assist against Colgate. He's got 7 points now in 19 games. Harvard's a weird team. They still have a couple of really solid players. They lack pretty much any like top prospects. Since Coronado left, like that whole class was like, they had some studs.
Yeah, that was the year they were supposed to torch and then just didn't. Yeah,
no, I think that was the year they were like 10 or 12 in the country going in and just didn't really make it.
They were everyone's upset sweetheart pick and they lost right away.
They're a huge pain in the ass to play against. Like they're fucking crazy physical. And like St. Louis kid is a stud. I can't believe he still hasn't got drafted. Like he is electric. Oh yeah, he is electric on the back end, dude. He is fucking so fun to watch and like shocking. Not very tall, but he is a fucking
no. I just imagine that Martin St. Louis' wife is 6'6". He's like, we need to make real NHL players, sweetheart.
Yeah. No, but it's I mean, like again, like I think Healy probably plays 27, 28 minutes a night. And like again, the one time I saw him live this year was against the USN TDP, and he hit the crossbar or the post 4 times. So he's got an absolute cannon, really fun to watch offensively. He's growing every year defensively. Again, like probably a long shot to crack like the Minnesota Wild roster, or definitely a long shot to crack,
wicked smart.
The NHL or the Minnesota Wild roster, and same thing like NHL in general. But very fun player to watch. Harvard's just a very weird team. Like,
yeah,
it's kind of like just a slog fest every game, and like they have flashes of some offensive brilliance. But he's got a great shot. He's very fun to watch. And again, he's one of those guys that, like, I swear to God, his heart rate slows down under pressure at the blue line, where he is not afraid to fucking just hold on to the puck, dish, or shoot. Like, it's very fun to watch. Well, there you go.
There we go.
We'll do Europe next week.
There you have it. Europe is next week.